Okay, so typically my job every day is I come in and we have our maps that we have in production. So we get our assignments, and lately I've been working on a new map. But you may also notice in the last patch. The Bello Omega has been updated. That's what I've been doing for the past week or so. Is sort of revamping that because we got a lot of negative feedback in the forums. And so typically what I do every day is I go in, and if it's a new map I'm working on, the process is, I come in and start with the terrain and everything, and, build up bases and everything. So pretty much I'm just pushing and pulling terrain a lot every day, but it goes into more detail, but I'm not sure how much you want me to say right this moment. So, but
As much as you are allowed to.
Okay.
Yeah, real
But
quick, I really want to congratulate you on the fact that you guys actually took on Bella Omega, because I can imagine after having polished that thing for a while, just
yeah.
dumping a Category 4 snowstorm onto it must have really hurt at one point. Because,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. It was really interesting because I when I got the map, it had already been put in the queue and everything, and since we got all this feedback, I decided to try my hand at it and see what I could do. So you probably also have noticed that I've been a little more active on the tribes forums. Um, because we have our map feedback threads now. So I went and read all of that, and I just took my shot at it. And maybe not everything might have stuck, but it seems to be getting a little bit more positive feedback now. So I'm going to be reading those forums a lot and just reiterating on the map until it gets to a point where we're ready to just let it go and move on to making more maps.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, one of my teammates fielded a question that Bella was gone for a while, and of course you worked on it and brought it back with some big changes, and you said the forums inspired a lot of them. What were some of the specific changes that you took out of the forums and implemented into the map?
Mainly the terrain changes, because I noticed really the whole midfield was pretty flat except for the large bowls, and I wanted to sort of make it feel more tribesy, so to speak. So I added in a lot more undulations in the hills and stuff like that. It might not have worked 100%, but I hope it was a move in the right direction. I like to try a bunch of different things when iterating on maps like that. So I put in a lot of these like really shallow bowls that allows people to sort of ski and change direction pretty fast. And I think that works in certain areas, but I might have went a little overboard in some areas as well. So yeah, it's just a matter of just checking to see what works, and whatever doesn't work, make sure we get it out of there and try something else.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about some of the things you learned in the process of starting making maps for tribes? What are some of the things you learned about what people want to see?
Oh man, lots of hills was basically the main thing I learned working on tribes maps. So when I first got moved on to the tribes team, they let me take over Katabatic, and I was like, oh man, I know that was a big
No pressure.
yeah, I know. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and not mess this up, and so I did that, and it seemed to be received pretty well. But I'd like to do some other things to it. But also we're working on other maps. So then I ended up doing the dry dock nighttime map, and I took a lot of the feedback that I read on the forums when I was making that map, and adding a lot of hills. And I think a lot of people like that map just because it's so hilly. So I definitely want to try and add that effect into all my maps. But yeah, it's been a journey just learning how to make maps for tribes, because it's not something I've ever done before, but it's really awesome when you hit that sweet spot and people have a lot of fun with it.
consider yourself my favorite map maker right now.
Yeah, I can attest to that. My absolute favorite maps are Dry Dock Night and Bella Omega at this moment.
Awesome.
I also think the Dry Dock Night's a very nice map. It's not super realistic in the way some of the other maps are, but it's a really great flowing map. It really feels fun to play on, and you can really get an idea for how it plays just by having a look at it. It's this great big bowl. Everyone gets shunted into the middle and put in the blender.
Yeah.
What about your favorite map, KP? What do you think that would be?
I'd say my favorite map right now would be, Dry Dock Night, because when we have internal play tests, when we play on it, everybody is just having so much fun, and you see all the call-ins come down, and it's just so crazy, and people yelling in the play test room. So yeah, I'd say that's my favorite one right now too.
Awesome. And I think Greth probably has a question about Arcs Nova.
Yeah, just the mention of the name, really. See what we could pry out.
Arcs Novena. I know we tested that a while ago, and it wasn't really ready to go out yet, I don't think, and so I'm not working on that map, but I know it's being worked on right now by another level designer. Actually, my lead level designer, Scott, he's the one that's doing that one right now, and he's working on that as well as doing other things. So it's taking a little while in the oven. So when it's ready, we'll probably reintroduce that to the beta community. But yeah, it's still being worked on.
Awesome. So maybe another question. Now that the first competitive game is behind us, are the maps working out like you intended them? Or maybe people are not using features that you wanted them to use, maybe? Bell Omega is still very recent, but like on Katabatic, they say like, oh, come on, those kind of routes, why aren't they using them or something like that?
Actually, at first when I was making Katabatic, I had my ski routes that I had put in there, with the purpose of people using them. And then the more I saw it being tested, I was like, wait a second, I shouldn't be, making routes for people to use specifically, but really making the terrain so people can make up their own. And I think that's the big thing is sort of seeing what people come up with, because there's some things that I see in like some of these videos. There's been a lot of like highlight reels coming out, and people just doing these amazing, crazy things with the terrain that I didn't even know would be possible. So it's awesome, like sitting there seeing people do things that you didn't even think of, and I think that's the really cool part about it.
The bigger the hills, the bigger the potential.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think now, with all that little tidbit of information, we can go ahead and move on to an announcement that we actually shamefully missed last week. We were talking about it before the podcast, said, all right, let's actually save the discussion for the podcast, and then didn't touch on it the whole thing, the announcement that NASL is going to be hosting Tribes Ascend. I think that's awesome for the community, awesome for the game. I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, indeed. I think it's a great kickstart for the competitive scene. Although I'm a European and I'm going to miss out on NASL most likely, it still is a very powerful first move.
Don't worry, the current tournament includes international. It's not just North America, so I'm sure the European teams and the Aussie teams will get some love. The main issue will be servers and whether the ping can be balanced for international play.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
I think that's on the Hi-Rez end, yeah. Have you got any plans? Do you know about sort of what's in the works for NASL other than just getting the spectator mode going? And
there's a lot of things going on. most of it that I'm not really sure about. Bart, he definitely be the one to ask about a lot of that stuff. But just from what I've been hearing and what's going on around the studio to support it, it's really cool, especially with spectator mode. There's going to be some more advanced spectator, I guess, controls coming. Not sure when, but we're in the works to do some more stuff with that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited, and from my perspective, the whole map making thing for competitive is going to be interesting, because I think probably one of my weak spots is with the whole base play. I still haven't gotten that completely right, and so that's why I'm really interested in hearing all the feedback on the forums, because base play is something that hasn't been, I guess, a huge focus, just because it hasn't happened a lot when I've been playtesting, but I see it being more important every day. So I'm trying to, figure it out as I go. And so I guess that sort of inspired some of the changes with Bella Omega as well, with the doors. I just wanted to see if that, could work. So it might even, not work in Bella, but if we can put it in some other maps, I think that would be awesome to have, the generator be more important in, the flag positioning and everything. So, yeah, I definitely see the NASL being a key point in sort of how we go about making maps for competitive play now.
Yeah, no pressure there then.
Need some more bottomless pits.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I love those.
There's so much mixed feelings towards the bottomless
No,
pits.
listen. Don't listen to those people. Don't listen. Bottomless pits are cool. Bring in the
Technicians
lava.
don't like falling into them, and the others like throwing technicians into them.
Technician, that's a dangerous job.
That's still live on the forum, because that's been inching its way up to the front page every single time. Like, no, let it die. Don't let it.
Just give it a little bump.
Make him double the infinites. Yeah.
I have one question, specifically in your area relating to competitive play. It's been sort of a long-term view of a lot of people sort of looking at esports that really the only way to make maps truly balanced is to have them perfectly symmetrical, so neither team has even a slight advantage of some specific terrain feature they can abuse, or maybe a specific skier on that they have that the other team doesn't. What are your thoughts on making maps symmetrical for competitive play versus having them asymmetrical and each team having advantages depending on how they place?
I think the symmetrical map is very important, especially for competitive play, because you don't want some random element or some non-balance feature in the map that one team can abuse but the other team can't. And that was the hard thing, especially with getting Katabatic, because when I initially got that map, it was sort of already made in a way. And the bases were not symmetrical. Well, they were. One was rotated 90 degrees, and so I tried my best to sort of add in key points for each side, so there would be the same amount of, I guess, favorable terrain. But there's just things I see day by day that I can sort of change, and it's like I've been on the forums, reading about like the cave entrance for the Blood Eagle and everything, and so that's why I rotated that back 90 degrees, and saw how that worked out and everything. But I'd say any other map that I do, especially for competitive play, would have to be symmetrical, hands down.
Yep.
Yeah. Now,
That's really good to hear.
Entrance, I just wanted, with that cave entrance, what made you choose to actually give both of the entrances a free entrance, really, instead of rotating it backwards and giving both the cave entrances a hard entry point, really, that people actually had to go around instead of just scooting down the midfield?
So with that, like I said earlier, with the whole base play, that was my first map I was working on for Tribes. So I was trying out a lot of different stuff, and believe it or not, that base was a lot larger in its first iterations. Um, it was massive compared to what it is right now, and
Wow.
and
It is already
yes.
one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, I had a field day with that, like just adding in hallways and stuff like that. It was like a maze, pretty much, and I had to tone it back, and it's still pretty large, and so to just make work easier and not have to go back for a couple of weeks and revamp this whole base. We sort of cut off like a lot of it and moved up the generator a lot. And so it was sort of like we needed maps out there, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to go back and revisit it and try to make it, I guess, symmetrical. At that point, it was far enough along that we would lose so much time trying to redo something that might not work. So I just tried to save as much as I could for that. But it seems to have worked out pretty good. But I mean, like I said, there's so much stuff I see day by day that I want to change but can't at the moment. So I'm just like, next time I won't, make that mistake.
That's good.
For the lava map, then.
Yes. Well, there's another question. Have you got any thoughts about introducing new tile sets? At the moment, we've got the sort of grass and the snow one. But I think one of the great things about Tribes was you had some of these weird, like, lava world, desert world, sort of alien floating planets and the little things in the sky. This sort of weird alien geography you can get. And I think someone's actually posted a great post on the forum saying that's one of the beauties of doing a science fiction shooter like this. You can really have fun with your maps. You don't have to do like a Call of Duty, let's do, Middle Eastern bizarre 9.865.
Right.
You can really just go wild and have some crazy fun with your map design and what you do. Like, have you got any thoughts on doing that sort of weird map design style stuff?
Oh, definitely. Like, yeah, I would really like to do that. I think when we first started out, we wanted to do, sort of go the tried and true route of, what's the most popular maps or whatever, and what can we do in this amount of time, and I think that since we have these maps already out here, we're definitely looking into doing some more things. I just say keep your eyes open for later on. Once we start introducing new maps, you'll probably be happy with what you see.
Ooh, I like that hint.
I've got one last question. On an earlier podcast, we talked about whether it will be possible for competitive play or even just normal play to implement fixed spawns as opposed to people spawning randomly. So it would kind of make it easier for people to set up where their players are spawning at the start of the game. And if they're capo, you always want them spawning at the top of a hill. So it takes, again, that element of randomness out for competitive play.
Right.
I'm not sure how much of that is going to be on your level or that's on the guys who are mucking around with the base UT engine level.
Yeah.
But can you talk about that?
Yeah, it'd probably be sort of like a back and forth, and if I'd say if that's something that's talked about a lot on the forums and everything, if that's really big feedback that people want that, I'd say we'd probably end up trying to implement that. But at the time, I haven't heard anything about it. This is the first I've heard about people wanting fixed spawns. But I'll definitely sort of whisper in the ear of whoever needs to hear it. If that's something that people want, I don't see a problem with that happening. So it's like, yeah, if people want it, then we try to please everybody, but we're working on stuff right now, so it's kind of have to be added to the queue, So I'd say it's not totally out of the question, but yeah.
On the subject of whispering, can the person who is working on Dry Dock right now, who invented the tower spawn, be flogged in some way? Be whipped, or at least be.
Actually,
believe it or
personally,
not, in the internal playtest, every time somebody spawns up there, they're just raging out immediately. So I'm sure that the person who's working on that hears this all the time. So I don't know. Hopefully he listens to the podcast, and
That makes me very happy.
It is good to hear.
Yeah.
I think
you can
Joni was
be
trying to say.
by playtesters is fine by me. That's good.
I personally like those towers. It's a great opportunity to melee snipers in the ass on a regular basis.
Yep.
And they, at first sight, these towers look like they have no proper routes to exit that area from. But after some looking around, I found decent routes going from every tower. It takes a bit of adventuring.
Finesse. Yeah.
Or finesse.
But still,
It's quite easy, actually.
if you're playing heavy, it's not fun.
Yep. That's
More
the one
disc
trick.
jumps.
It's heavy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Return the energy, the regen, health regen to what it was. There you go. Some problem solved.
Well, that's something, actually. I don't know if you, Kevin, are involved in that, but the change on regen in the latest patch that slowed down the total regenning process, that's greatly affected how players move around on the map. Are you actually involved in that, or?
I am not involved in that. I just do the levels, so you'd have to talk to the lead designer about that. But yeah, these changes, like they introduce them and see how well received they are, and I think that all of the feedback that everybody's getting, we pretty much listen to a lot of it. So it's just a matter of time if a lot of people are raging about it. I don't see any point of keeping it in. Like that, but at the same time, there's reasons why we do all these things. So yeah, I'm not saying that every time something's not well received that it's gonna just get ripped out. But yeah,
right. Maybe on the subject of map making, and I don't know if this is going to be a balanced decision or not, or maybe an engine decision. The out of bounds grid, where it is going to be soft or hard, or that you are going to extend the out of bounds grid. Like on Dry Dock, for instance, there's a lot of map beyond the out of bounds grid. Right. Is that just for testing reasons, or is that engine reasons, or is that just deliberate decision?
It's very pretty.
I think it's a number of different things. I'd say mainly engine reasons for right now. Because it is the Unreal Engine and everything, and we don't have sort of randomly generated terrain beyond that point. Not saying that that's out of the question, but it would take a lot of time of R&D to figure out how to do sort of soft boundaries and letting people go outside of the grid and everything. So right now, it makes it a lot easier for us to sort of have a hard boundary just to contain gameplay and everything. But I think if we were able to, I think it'd be awesome to have soft boundaries. But then again, I'm just designing levels. I don't have the programming know-how or anything to help.
Well, one day you might actually decide, oops, I forgot the out of bounds grid. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot it.
Couldn't you just patch those out accidentally?
One thing I will say that I'm sure a lot of the sort of older Tribes players are interested in is, are we going to see some really large maps coming up? We sort of know that there used to be a transport in the game from the very first trailer, and sort of like really big maps that encourage that sort of mechanized warfare, strikes flying everywhere, transports. Like, I think everyone who played the old games has fond memories of that sort of style of map and gameplay. Right. Is there plans in the works for that sort of style thing?
Right now I get my task at hand right now. I'm not really sure of the what's the, oh man, I'm forgetting my words right now. The future of what we're going to be doing, but
I have that effect on some people.
But Yeah, I'm not sure right now, so I wouldn't be able to answer that, to tell you the truth.
Cool. No, that's fine.
If you have some free time, you could doodling. Just keep going into the vertical and the horizontal, and just end up with a, I don't know, 200 gigabyte map or something. That would be fine.
Fun for everyone's been.
Yeah. Just copy paste Catabatic 4 times. Done. Voila.
4 times.
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions for Kevin?
Nope. All questioned out. Thank you. It's fantastic.
Thinking, but I forgot it. I'll probably throw it in.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. See, Sora's is not the only. Well, he's dead. Dead dropped the cast a couple of times already.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
Still around.
And we were all staring, going, "Oh, he stopped talking." Shit.
I've got an excuse too. It's like 5:30 in the morning.
I got it. That's just a personal question. Don't know if anyone cares. Don't care that anyone cares. But the dead stop problem, yeah, because that you were beta testers were asked to report him all that. Is it really a manual thing that you do? You literally go over the map with a little fine-tooth comb, going, "Oh, there's a little bump here. We need to fix it." Or because I've seen that when I was in spectator mode and flying over the map, I could actually see the seams of the map coming through. Is it really just that intensive?
Well, I think what you saw was the terrain tessellating, and so it's pretty much drawing a LOD or a level of detail for the terrain, so it's not as graphic intensive. And but to answer your question, pretty much I would go all over the map and sort of where terrain isn't as smooth as it should be. And you probably see a lot of this in Bella Omega right now because it was a lot of terrain changes, and I didn't get to go over it as finely as I had liked to. But I'll go over the terrain and smooth out certain areas that are really like jagged and stuff like that. So it's pretty much combing over the whole map, just making sure that there's no crazy terrain, in there. So when you're skiing and you hit that one sweet spot and it just stops you immediately, and you're just like, what
probably
the
could have. You probably heard some screaming in the background. That was from Belgium. That was all the way from here. All right.
If Joni doesn't have anything else, I'd say we're
No,
good.
I'm good.
All right. Well, Kevin, that pretty much does it with what we had planned for the question and answer section. If you had somewhere to go ahead and get to, we'd like to thank you for stopping by and thank you for the answers. It was really good.
Okay, thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming. It's fantastic to talk to people.
We will hound you on the forums. Don't worry about that.
All right.
I'm sure you're going to get like 100 PMs within the next few days.
You're
Sounds
welcome.
good.
Righto.
All right, then. So we can go ahead and move on to the scrim. I know the source said he had some internet issues, couldn't watch it, but Joni, Greth, and I had all seen it. And what did you guys think about the match?
Well, first and foremost, it was incredibly one-sided. Thanks to Bro Eagle seeming like a real team and generators. They had their solid roles to fill, but they weren't actually deviating from those roles, and that made for they had a lot of holes in their defense that Bro Eagle just steadily exploited and won the maps way too quickly. But aside from that, it's great to see, especially for me, I've been waiting for this for a year since Hi-Rez announced their buying the Tribes franchise. I find it amazing to see the first competitive match, even though it wasn't the best you can imagine. It was great to see, and good to see the casters jumping on it straight away.
Yeah, because the first time we actually saw an organized team, and it was a little one-sided at the start, but I was surprised of some of the tactics. I haven't seen all of it yet, but I did see like the two snipers, for instance, and those were a little more effective than I thought they would be, which is sort of getting me worried because that kind of, I believe it was on dry dock, we just didn't see light cappers after a while because they were pointless, and Rangers becoming probably the capping class. Didn't see that many soldiers. Didn't see a lot of
Ranger as capper, defense, and offense.
Yeah, as the cookie cutter class that everyone wanted to avoid, basically.
Yeah, indeed.
Though, just within the recent patch, I mean, I'm finding the Rangers not amazing. Like, it's solid, but every time I play it, I feel there's places I can't go and there's things I can't do. So with every other class, I know that I have a certain role that I can do really well. Like as a Pathfinder, I know I can catch people. I know I can cap flags. As a Juggernaut, like I know I can take out a base if I want to. Whereas with Ranger, it's like if you get near a base but there's people flying around and your Thumper can't hit them, or if you chase but they're going a bit too fast, so you can't really like get a good beat on them with the assault rifle or the Thumper. You can't really do that well. They're pretty good at capping though. I think is the one medium that's really got a lot of strength in that area.
They got immense acceleration thanks to the Thumper's very high impulse.
Yeah, so that's why I think they're gonna be just like the Pathfinder, just come in, because that's what I also saw right at the start of the first match on Katabatic. I actually saw the two Raiders coming in and just completely destroy all the Claymores, force fields, turrets, whatever. They just bombarded that place. And then just the Pathfinder came in and hop, there you go. The second one, there was already someone on rotation. Pathfinder came back, capped. Okay, Ranger's already inbound, and nothing was set up yet. Then the Ranger can do, got some fire, it doesn't matter, he's a medium, he's already out there.
Yeah, their timing was impeccable.
So, and that's only going to probably get worse. I don't know what kind of other classes could be doing that. But, yeah. The thing, though, there was not really a defensive presence, but if it does happen, I think probably we're going to see 3 cappers in the air. Most of them going to be mediums, probably Ranger, because of the Thumper.
Though, I guess with sort of more balanced play, if we start seeing these sort of Raider, or Raider and Juggernaut, flag stand pressure teams come in, you'll see the defense team pick up probably, I'd say soldiers or Pathfinders and just intercept those as they come in. So you get sort of harassment onto them as they try and harass the flag stand, and obviously both teams will start adopting the same tactics. So you'll see a lot more double caps and people having to switch roles into chasers or flag intercept. So I think it's far too early to really make any comments about how the game's playing out, because we've had one scrim and it wasn't a particularly
nice to speculate on.
Competitive scrim. It is, but it's also somewhat disruptive to sort of form opinions, and it's better just to let the game play out. And I admit I didn't actually see much because, if I watched more than 5 minutes, my computer hard crashed, so that made it a little bit tricky.
Where's your determination?
Well, I did watch about 25 minutes, so I hard crashed my computer 5 times, yeah.
Just trying to get it to work. The matches, that's quite impressive.
All right.
Well, I'm personally hoping that Tuesday or something we'll get Hi-Rez calling out IDK and Hindsight to fight each other.
Why not us?
Well, or us. I'm just, not the type of person that wants to push us forward that much. And I think Hindsight and IDK can probably more equally match each other than Bro Eagle and Generator did.
Yeah.
As well as, I don't know both those teams because they're Americans, but I know from Hindsight and IDK that they have been playing for years. And even though this is a brand new, fresh look on Tribes, it is still Tribes. And I think a lot of the tactics they used to use will rear their ugly heads.
Yep, Bro Eagle is a very good team, very strong team. In particular, I think of the name John Wayne from Tribes 1. He was really good.
They had some bitchin' snipers, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, they had some darn good snipers. I think one of my favorite moments from the match, me and Griff had mentioned this, was during dry dock when Generator actually almost had the flag to their base. Then out of nowhere, Sniper flies in, takes the guy out, and returns the flag all in one mid-air motion. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it was a spectacular moment indeed.
Yep. And I think, look, at this stage, you know, we're seeing the tournament, and it's probably best just to look at it as a friendly sort of, you know, development tournament. The casters are learning how to cast, the players are learning how to play, but the great thing we are getting is we're getting those sort of spectacular moments, and we're probably only going to get one or two a match. But if we play this tournament, then we're going to have trailers for when we start a real competition, when, you know, we have teams that are the sort of the best of because there's a load of teams in this tournament. I mean, it's 20, 30 teams built up already for like true hardcore competitive play.
And it's not just the teams that are already
too big of a scene already and signed up. Yeah, there's a lot more than that, I know. But, you know, for real hard competitive play, what we're going to see is the best of these teams sort of band together and play maybe a lot less frequent scrims or tournaments later on, where it's just the best of each team sort of condensed. So the best Pathfinders, the best Sentinels, the best Rangers, all sort of stacking up into smaller teams. And then, you know, when we start seeing casts of those games, we'll be able to showcase some of the really cool stuff that's happened in the previous games and, you know, build hype for those. Well, and the purpose of this tournament is really just development and that sort of stuff, rather than figuring out how competitive play is going to work, because we just can't. Like, we won't until we see those more elite teams start to get built and they start smashing around on the maps where everyone's very competent and the team works together really well.
Yeah.
Jolly good then. All right, so I suppose now that that's out of the way, we can go ahead and move on to patch notes. And I think probably the first thing I'd like to mention with these patch notes is I've seen a total Twilight Zone shift in the mentality of the forums this past week. They're actually complimenting Hi-Rez on things they've done. People are coming on the forums to complain, and then it's 2 pages of people saying, no, actually you're wrong. I kind of like how it is now. What do you think, guys?
It's bordering on schizophrenia, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very happy with the patch notes. It looks like the rest of the community as well. What do you guys think about some of the points in the patch notes?
How about we go over them piece by piece, because I'm very, very reluctant to touch my internet because it's been stable so far. But every time I open a browser and try and do anything, I hard crash. So I don't want to try and open the patch notes.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'll go ahead and bring them up.
Hat. I mean, is it in the right position?
So, I mean, let's just maybe step through them all in sequence. And
maybe copy-paste them in chat so he can read it.
Yeah, if someone can find them quicker than I can, my high command's being silly.
Whatever you do, Source, don't move. It's going to be fine, okay? Don't worry. Take it away. We're both looking for the patch notes.
I will say that it's really fantastic. I don't know whether it was because of my sort of advocacy or whether they just got around to it, but quite a few of the things that I've been talking about were implemented in this patch. I mean, I think last podcast I said if they doubled the token gain for the first win of the day, it'd be fantastic. They did it. And the explosion radius on explosive weapons was another thing that I was pushing at, and I think they're a lot better now. I've played just a few rounds on the new patch, and it just feels a lot better. It might be tricky because, I mean, I've seen in bases people are getting smashed a lot harder, and
indoor fights are over a lot more quickly, and I think that is a major plus, especially because Tribes is so geared towards the high speed, the thrill of fighting outside.
Yeah, they also brought in increased projectile speed, which I had a hard time noticing at first, but I think the disc launcher is awesome. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is a much more important change than the explosion radius, because it enables. Well, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, I've generally felt it is now more easy to make mid-air hits with projectiles, and also hit people when you're both traveling at very high speed. Which a lot of people were complaining about how inheritance, while it's at 20%, is stopping people from doing high-speed chases. And I think this is, it's not all the way yet, but it is definitely a good step in the direction. It's not an inheritance upgrade, but it does give everyone a feeling of more control over their projectiles.
I did notice that. I've played like I said, just a couple of rounds on the new patch, but I mucked around as a chaser on Bella Omega for one of those, and yeah, it felt way better going after a guy. I didn't land many hits, but when I wanted to put a spin fuser shot somewhere, it went there, and it got there, when I wanted it to get there. So it was just me being terrible rather than not actually being able to hit where I wanted to hit was the problem.
Yeah. No more mail order spin fuser shots.
They also dropped the damage for the Raider SMG. I play a lot of Raider, and I noticed it a little bit, but it still seems really strong. Just a little less spammy.
If I'm right on this, it was dropped from 140 per hit to 110 damage per hit. So it is quite a significant drop in damage. Although I still think it is one of the more potent secondary weapons, but also one of the harder ones to use. In most situations, it is very hard to connect a whole burst of these projectiles.
I feel like a lot of the people who complain about it don't understand some of the finesse it takes.
Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah. But it was
they're probably the people who are playing on servers where people aren't constantly going 200 kilometers an hour and duels are happening at 100-meter ranges.
Yeah, and also a lot of the heavy players, because had been playing Raider a little bit, and yes, I was missing a lot of shots, but once a heavy came in sight, he was dead. There was no turning back. He was just gone. Because by the time a Doombringer span up his chain gun, it was already halfway dead. So I think a lot of the complaints came from that corner as well. People just not really moving that fast yet. But yeah, then again, now we see... Yeah, go on.
A general problem with fast-fire weapons and heavy armors, because they are not mobile enough to avoid a lot of the hits. And I think for now, the screen cracking is also linked to damage taken, not percentage. So heavies get a fully cracked screen a lot more quickly than, let's say, a Pathfinder. And that makes for, basically if a Raider, a Ranger, or a Technician attacks a heavy, you become blinded quite quickly, and you don't have enough energy to keep avoiding his shots.
Yeah. Now, on that... They also did something to the Ranger Assault Rifle, which has the starting accuracy reduced. I think that was the wrong way of doing it, because we've talked about this at length, the recoil or whatever, the damage reduction or the drop-off or something, but not the accuracy, because that just adds more random. Of course, I'm kind of fundamentalist in this regard, No,
I absolutely agree. Like, why would they make this even more of a spray and pray weapon? Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it just points towards the fact that Hi-Rez feel the need for having a very low entry level class, a class that anyone can pick up. And with this latest nerf, they've simply made the maximum damage output of the rifle at long range pretty much lower, and not just lower, but they made the difference between a mediocre and a very high-skilled Ranger smaller. And I don't think the correct way of nerfing a class is to kick the good players in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you need something that affects everyone over the entire scope of the skill band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like that, maybe the all the explosion ranges that have been increased, I think the most important one of those, because most of them don't really matter to me, but the fact that the Juggernaut got a larger... I haven't played enough with the Mortar yet, because I haven't really had the chance. I've been more playing with the Spin Fuser, but that the range, it's now more well-rounded, and you will actually start hitting people when they're inside your radius, inside the explosion. So that's all good. I mean, this was, like Johnny said, the first time he read the patch notes, the God patch, you know? This was the one we needed. This one was the one that prevented the riots, you know? Because I think otherwise, if this patch wouldn't have been released this week, Hi-Rez HQ would have been a ball of cinders right now. So there you go.
Though I definitely think we can't really say it's, you know, the savior patch and everything is good now. There's still a lot of problems and a lot of balance issues.
It was it was a good patch. It's the one we should have had before Thanksgiving, which of course was impossible and made people foam at the mouth. But like I said, this is a good save. It's not perfect yet. It's absolutely not.
Well, this is the first big balance patch I've seen since I was accepted into the alpha months ago, and that is a great thing. It means that they have right now less pressure to create more content, and they can start focusing on the little details.
Yep. One thing I will say that I'm really hunkering for is there was a post on the forum that someone was talking about, you know, screw the explosion radius, we need a shorter fuse on the mortar. I'm going, it's a mortar, you're supposed to use it at range.
And I don't think there is
the guy also said, you know, we don't need more range on the mortar, I just want a shorter fuse. The mortar needs to be able to fire like a mortar. Its range is so short at the moment.
You should not be able to fire the mortar straight forward and have it explode when it hits the ground. It's called a mortar, so it should have a massive arc.
Yeah,
its flight. So I think the fuse is perfectly fine right now, but I would like to see one small change for the mortar, and that is when the fuse has ran out, it should explode on contact with players, also in midair.
Yeah,
fucking midair mortars, please.
Yes,
that is one of my biggest gripes at the moment. That one of the staple skill shots of tribes is missing.
Yeah, we've already. Well, I've already exclaimed this in a previous podcast, but the pain that you feel when you actually manage to midair someone with a mortar and it bounces off their face.
That just pings off their head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just no. That's exactly the feeling.
So you need the skill now. You need to actually bounce it off their head at such an angle that it like bounces and follows them and blows them up when it actually triggers.
I've had mid-airs with the mortar already. You just need to bounce it off. For example, Bella Omega, you can bounce it off the base wall and have it explode in the energy conduit on the outside on the new version.
Oh, I've done that as well.
But it is a lot of extra effort to make a thing of beauty happen.
Agree.
Yeah. So let's see. Next topic I think we should talk about would probably be the vehicle changes, including strike controls, the grav cycle changes that were numerous, etc. I really like the... I haven't played a lot with the new Shrike, but I think it's a little bit better. A lot of people are saying it made it worse, but maybe it's just because I managed to have decent ping sometimes that it doesn't seem too bad for me.
I have to say, of course, the sensitivity changes are great. I mean, the strike controls before were so much slowed down compared to your actual infantry sensitivity that it became unplayable for people with lower sensitivity. But now that's fairly fine. I would prefer a little higher because I am an extremely low sense player. On the other hand,
no pun intended.
The other change to the Shrike, reduced damage from impacting ground and buildings, is a really bad thing in my opinion, because the Shrikes were already a menace and hard to deal with, especially with a competent pilot, and now they can pretty much slide their face across the ground at 300 kilometers an hour, barely taking damage. So I think this should be toned down a lot.
I don't mind that. I just prefer like that there was some better ways of knocking the Shrike out yourself rather than having to rely on the ground to do it for you. Because while it's very reliable in that regard, like I've never seen a Shrike in the air for more than 5 minutes because people just always crash them. Yeah, I'd like to see just being able to kill the damn things. I mean,
well, I think maybe bringing back the feature of the shock lance from the old Tribes games to the melee of the new game, simply knocking the Shrike off its trajectory when you hit it with melee. Of course, this will barely see its use, but most Shrike kills happen by directly impacting the player with the nose of the Shrike. Yep. So there is, usually when the thing comes after you, you'll have an opportunity to melee it.
It's like
just
punching
like
a shark
Tribes.
in the nose.
Yeah, indeed.
Plus, that's just such a cool thing. You're just like the guy who flips the Shrike over his shoulder.
And the accolade will be the Falcon Punch.
Shrike Punch, yeah.
And it should play the sound.
No, that would be fantastic, actually. I'd love to see that.
The entire server needs to be covered up. And everyone just looks up in awe. And then a ray of light falls down on the player who did it.
Well then.
Also, grav cycles. Johnny's first impression, because I'm going to say it for him, when the heavies could ride grav cycles, I heard maniacal laughter for 5 minutes straight because he was riding that at the back seat as a juggernaut, flinging mortars everywhere. It was scary to listen to. I wasn't in the server. I'm glad I wasn't. Still have nightmares.
Yeah, me and NBC had some fun on his live stream for Level Up TV. I think a lot of people watched us do it, and it is... I don't think the grav cycle is going to be that much of a game-leading vehicle, not any more than it was before, but being able to move two heavy armors at relatively high average speed is great, and just the sheer terror in people's eyes when they see two heavies on a tiny little motorcycle.
That old Vespa.
I hear circus music somewhere.
What's the deal with the rocket pod? I haven't actually had a chance to play around with it yet, but how does it work?
It shoots a burst of, I could be wrong, I think it's 8 projectiles, maybe 10. Yep. And they are simply sort of small missiles, and they shoot in an incredibly fast fire rate with a very slow reload time. And so far I've been able to only once hit a full burst on a heavy armor, and that killed him. But yeah, they are excessively hard to hit because you need to trace and predict at the same time due to it being a fast fire, slow projectile. I think it's a very nice weapon. It's very interesting to use.
Cool. I'll be looking forward to it.
All right.
That's good. Oh yeah, has anyone mucked around with the Beowulf gun? The secondary gunning got buffed, which I think is. I just really hope they give that gun because I believe it's projectile, not hit scan. Yeah. But I would just love to see them actually make the projectile visible because I cannot tell where my shots are going. It's so hard to figure out,
it's really
how to place your shots.
I think the projectile is. It looks slightly similar to the one from the chain gun. It's just. I think it's faster. It's very hard to see the projectile, but if you shoot it into the distance, you can
you can see it. I also noticed that I'm not sure if this is a bug or something, but I'm pretty sure I've been hitting people with it, but I'm not getting the hit confirm noise. So I'm shooting at someone, nothing else is shooting at them. Their health is going down, but I'm not actually it's not telling me I'm hitting him.
Yeah, you don't get the flashy hit registration sound,
which absolutely needs to be fixed because. At the moment, even if you are doing something with the gun, it feels like you're missing everything. So,
there's another thing. Speaking of bugs, I'd like to mention about the grav cycle. Sitting on the back of it, I didn't test this anything else than heavy armor, but if you sit on the back in first-person mode, the weapon in your hand starts flinging across the screen, and the faster you go, the more screen real estate it starts using. So I think this is a major problem at the moment. And also, you can see this on videos on YouTube for the new grab cycle. When heavies get on the back, they tend to move around and sometimes even end up under the cycle with their face on the ground. And that also affects the exit point of, for example, the mortar. For some, in some situations, I had to fire the mortar at, let's say, a 70-degree angle to actually get it to lift off the ground and not explode at our cycle.
That sounds like
So
a
there
bug
are
more than a feature.
there are some definite bugs here and there, but overall, I like the new vehicles. A great upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Now, one of the other things we had was the cooldown. The orbital cooldowns. Now have a cooldown, and the prices have been adjusted for the offensive ones. I'm not sure of the costs on those, but what are your thoughts? Like
3,500 for the tactical strike and 10,000 for the orbital.
Yep. I mean, I quite like the orbital at 15, to be honest. But I'm always thinking in terms of how will this work in a team credits system. So I think it's quite hard to get 15k in a game for the average player. I mean, it's very easy if you, say, play your Juggernaut and stand in a base all day and just blow people up as they come around the generator.
I was just about to say that. Earlier today, I was after a spree in the enemy base. I was able to stand on the hill next to their base on Katabatic and spam 4 orbital strikes in a row and get like a multitude of kills while doing it, because people never expect the 3rd and 4th to actually come. So I think the 15,000 was a great price. I mean, before I never could get over 3 orbital strikes per game, and now I was doing 4, which is, in my opinion, 4 in an entire game is enough. And 4 for the highest scoring player is just excessive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also in
comp play, an orbital strike is a guaranteed flag, not cap, but
Indeed, it's
free
a guaranteed
flag
grab.
And for any good players, like if you get out with a flag at high speed with full health, that's pretty much a cap. If the other team doesn't get yours.
But that's going to be, that needs to be balanced because we still don't know what kind of credits are going to be used inside the game at the end. So it's probably going to be like, yes, you will get your orbital strike, but that'll probably cost you a strike or 2.
On the subject, I think in competitive play, the simplest way for Hi-Rez to balance this is to simply tone down the credit earning rates, because combining an 8-man group's earning into one pool will just end up being an enormous amount of credits. And even though you have an orbital strike cooldown, you can still have every person in the 8-man team do one at the same time.
Oh yeah, there's definitely going to be lowering it quite a bit, just because the rate at which a single person gains is so huge.
I think the simplest solution would be lowering the credit game by like 50% for competition or even more, and just leaving the rest the same.
But
so that
we'll just have to see.
Yeah, all of that's also been discussed in the esports forum and all that, because like half of the merit batches need to go, the assists need to go, the flag grab things need to go, all those things. And then I think you can balance it rather nicely. And if you choose to go for the orbital strike, the orbital command, sorry, StarCraft 2, it's a gamble, really. If it works, good for you. If everyone sees it coming, because let's face it, that little line's going to be there for a very long time. All the heavies on the flag will have ample time to just move along. Probably, you're going to clear out the force fields and all that kind of thing. But if friendly fire gets turned on, then sorry, it's not going to work. But there you go. That's going to be a very long discussion, I think. And we're running out of time. I think we have time for one more subject, which will be Tweak. Take it away.
Yeah, something me and Greth are really excited about, because I know for sure me and him are really interested in the casting side of things. We're really excited about the spectator mode. It's got a lot of stuff that we really like. Of course, a few things to see. I'm really glad that they put in a lot of what the community was asking for in terms of hot swapping to flags, hot swapping to generators. They even got little favorite points that you can swap back and forth to. I think it's going to make the game really easy to both control as a spectator, which of course allows it to be viewed more easily by a common player. For example, in the scrimmage, there was, I think at peak time, a little over 1,000 people watching, which is just awesome for a game that's been in closed beta for just over a month now.
Yeah. So, but of course, and I'll say this before Johnny does, first-person view would be nice, but of course, disclaimer, we know it's in development. Just mentioning, okay? So, yeah. So, first-person view, also the fact that you maybe see the perks people are using while you are in third person over them. Also, yeah, the things we've already said, apparently Saurus is dead. That's okay. May he rest in peace.
We won't resurrect him soon enough.
Yeah, there you go. The dinosaur resurrection program is in progress. Now, right. Spectator. Now, another thing, so the first person thing, going around, seeing people's perks, seeing people's classes is also very important. And of course, locked to the teams that you can actually select people from a certain team instead of just cycling through them randomly. But that's just nitpicking, really.
Yeah.
But so far, the major thing, and I hope this is also just an oversight, but I really need to mention it because I'm actually just done uploading my first public vidrep that I do, so public commentary to test the waters.
Shameless
up on
advertising.
YouTube. The disconnecting.
Plug.
Spectators are not idling, okay?
There's actually, it was posted on the forum. Most people, when they go into spectate, they join a team and then type spectate in console. You should not join a team, because if you do, you will end up getting kicked for idling.
All right, that's good to know, because I always
join
do.
the server, type spectate, and then press escape to get out of the class selection screen.
Awesome. But still needs to be fixed.
For the people who don't know that.
Yeah. Because, like I said, it's kind of, I feel silly now because I've recorded two, and they're going to go up, and I'm just complaining, oh, I'm disconnected. So, yeah, I'm going to look like an idiot, which I think everyone's used to by now.
Yeah, that's okay.
Don't worry, I'm not going to work any sort of editing tricks. You're coming out in full force.
Wonderful. But there you go. Yeah, spectator mode, nice addition. We also, again, the projectile following thing, I really want. That's on my Christmas list there. And also, like, I don't know, maybe an instant replay function of certain shots. That's going to be a lot of work. But
yeah.
Instant replay and projectile cam are really wet dream subjects.
I know, but I'm going to keep mentioning it until it happens.
It would be really cool, especially for the whole just plain esports side of it. The fact that you can talk something up like that would be great. But the speed with tribes could be interesting to try working an instant replay.
Yeah, just a little, like, yeah, I will mention the devil word, Call of Duty kill cam kind of thing. Like, this is how you died. And then the commentator said, haha, that's how he died. You know? Wonderful.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be missing a lot of things. That I've also noticed a lot of things going on. If someone's attacking the generator and capping the flag at the same time, you're always going to focus the flag. And it's going to make, well, yeah, it's going to be chaos, really. So there you go.
All right. Well, that puts us at pretty much an hour. Does anybody else have anything left to say? Joni?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. I know Greth has something else to say, but I'm going to stop it.
I can keep talking for hours, really. No, it's all right.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Once again, I'd like to thank Kevin for coming by as a level designer. Oh, and actually, I do have one more shout out to give. We do have a brand new Shazpod logo, thanks to a wonderful member by the name of Frayed Knot. By the time you guys see this, the logo will be up on the Shazpod page. Just wanted to say thank you for getting that done. You guys are an awesome community. Again, any questions, feel free to email us at shazpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and look forward to letting you guys listen again. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.